Hi everyone, I'm Shaheen from the Content Mix, and I'm excited to be here with Jocelyn Chan, content team lead at Stockholm-based web security scale-up Detectify. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here speaking with you, Shaheen, about content and content marketing.
Absolutely. So just to get started, could you tell us a little bit about your background? You have an unusual start, right? You started out in food science and then transitioned into marketing. How did that happen?
Yes, so exactly that. So I started studying nutrition and food systems when I was in university, thinking, oh, maybe this is a path that I want to go. I've always had marketing kind of like at the back of my mind. And when I left university, I had the opportunity to join a food company. So really cool natural foods company when in Canada. So I'm originally from Canada, called Dea Foods. I need to shout out to them because they are so great. And I really enjoyed it. I was doing like what we call like brand experience marketing, meeting people, and I really liked that aspect of just talking to the public, getting understanding like what people's interests are and needs, and how you can improve their lives in different way with like products and whatnot. So then I moved to Sweden. I followed love, like many people do when they go to Sweden, and in 2013. So I've been in Stockholm, Sweden for like 7 years now, and I started working at Booking.com. So I had to find a way to, like, I guess you could say, like, reinvent myself and my career and what I want to do. And I ended up going into the travel industry, and getting kind of like an entry level role within marketing, with being like a content editor. And I always had this approach in my mind that I want to learn by doing, and learn the ropes kind of like of marketing that way. And that was a really good experience because at Booking.com, they're very like data driven, and you really get to see like the value of content or marketing, or at least what they've calculated. So I learned a lot in that process, and how to kind of have like a business mindset, which I think has really benefited me today. Now working at Detectify I started as a marketing coordinator there, so really like a generalist, as you can imagine, doing many things at once, wearing different hats, and kind of like in a startup environment. That's what one comes to expect, like that you get your hands dirty and here and there. And I've been with the company for a little over 2.5 years, and now I'm decided to take a focus on content and content marketing, and luckily I'm now a content team lead.
Could you tell us a bit more about Detectify and who their audience is for content?
Yeah, so Detectify is a web application security company, and we work with like ethical hackers and really rely on the power of the crowd to generate really cutting edge like security research, and we build that into our automation. So, and when I'm doing marketing, messaging, and material, I'm really speaking to a lot of developers and security engineers, IT managers, information security managers. So it's a very technical audience. Like a
Very cool. So, and did you have any background in that before you joined Detectify? Or was it like a whole new
no,
world?
definitely a whole new world. So I mean, I was kind of forced to reinvent myself again, leaving Booking, a B2C travel company, and going into something like really out of my comfort zone, in working with hackers. The whole idea of working with hackers, and going in, I had this image like, aren't hackers these guys in hoodies that will like they're just trying to break into a system, and can they be trusted? But I think joining Detectify, it's really, and joining like a company that really wants to change that dialogue has been really exciting for me, and got me interested in learning something new, and to get into this role, and be able to accumulate all the knowledge that I have about security today, and to speak with people who are working with security daily. So that's been really, really fun so far, and a great challenge for myself.
So could you tell us about how you built your hacker community, and what is the hacker community?
Yeah, good question. So, well, at Detectify, we're founded by a group of friends who are hackers, or ethical hackers. Want to emphasize that, and they're really believing that there's like very few people that have like security knowledge out there. So cybersecurity in general has a big like talent gap, and it's simply because it's in great demand, but there's just also not enough talent that you can hire into the company. So they also thought of this idea for, there's a ton of hackers out there like them that have the knowledge and have hacked companies like Google or Facebook or like Uber. And this is really specialized knowledge. And like, how can you get that out to other people who need it, like developers or engineers that need to secure all the products that we love to use today, for example, like Zoom or Slack or whatever. I don't know if Zoom is everyone's favorite, but it is maybe in the pandemic. So they thought of this idea of having, like, why don't we crowdsource that knowledge? Like, that's what we do in our regular hacking hobbies. So we created a community where other hackers with the interest of reporting vulnerabilities that they find in the companies or websites that they try to test, we built the platform where they can submit that information and also get rewarded on a continual basis, based on like, okay, how many companies are affected. And then so Detectify, then we are using that knowledge from the hackers to check our customer base, and then to see, okay, who is vulnerable. And every time there's something that occurs there, the hacker then gets a reward, a financial kickback. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So the hacker community is actually like core to the offering of Detectify.
Yeah, it's kind of like, like gig economy, if you think of it, like how Uber has their drivers, or like you have all these options of like where you work with freelancers for like, what am I thinking? Like maybe design companies or like Fiverr, and also, yeah, just kind of share economy where there's a lot of people who want to, maybe they don't want to be employed, but they still want to offer their skills in some way to help the lives of other people.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So could you tell us more about the approach to content marketing that you take at Detectify, and how you source your content as well?
Yes, it's historically we've had like content marketing as a big part of Detectify, in that because we have a lot of experts in house that do security research. We've tried to put their research like, out to the public where possible, where people can make use of that information to either create more awareness, but also they can apply a lot of the research directly in their everyday. So that's been a great part of what we are doing. And also we take a very educational approach where we want to educate our audience. We find that especially with developers and engineers who are very allergic to marketing, so to say, that they will prefer things that are more like adding value to their life and educated. So we spend a lot of time trying to curate content that will help them in maybe everyday situations. They come across vulnerability, or we find a vulnerability in their web applications. And then we can also provide that same kind of education to help them fix it on the spot, so that they don't have to, scour the internet for more. And with that approach, with the combination of like research and educative content, it also helps us like create content that will be like evergreen content for us, so that it can stand the test of time, because ways that people want to exploit websites or not, those don't, they can like still exist like 5 years ago and today. So that is one approach. And then I also want to, because our concept isn't maybe so easily to understand, or isn't easily understood by everyone, like the idea of having a hacker community on the side, or can we trust them and whatnot. We need to gain trust from our audience that they can trust the hackers, and we need to ensure that. So I do my best with my team to kind of give them a spotlight. So the hackers that we choose to work with in our crowdsourced community, we call it crowdsource, I invite them to like guest blog, because a lot of them also have interesting things to share, and that's helped build also awareness for the community. So to recruit hackers into that community, but also for the business side of things, for them to understand hackers are also people you can trust and can be a benefit for your security strategy.
Absolutely. So could you share an example of a piece of content that worked really well for you and why you think that was?
Yeah, actually, I have a great example from, it's a funny example for this year on April Fools Day. We had this idea to involve our hacker community to help us, create some content in the security realm. We have a term called pen testing, which means that someone is kind of doing a security audit. They're trying to check and break the company's like the system, break into the system, and that's called pen testing. So we had this idea to maybe take a spin on it and do literal pen testing, and then also get our hackers involved by just simply asking them to use their Twitter handles, and would they be willing to be featured in the post. And I was like, this was a funny thing, and I didn't expect the result. But what ended up happening is, because they themselves have their own like networks, but they helped us amplify this kind of message across Twitter, and it got to like a bigger audience, and we even saw an uplift in like we have a SaaS product, so we look at signups, and so we even had an uplift in like signups, and also was able to trick a few people along the way. And I think that's the whole point of an April Fool's joke, is to to have a practical joke. And
what was the punchline of the joke? Where
so they were expecting like oh sorry, I missed that. So it was like a top list of pen testing tips. So it's like someone would expect, okay, this is going to tell me how I'm going to do some cool hack against the system. But then we started showing pen testing, like how you would test a pen, like, okay, you write it, or make sure it's the right weight, and everything. So it was really fun, and we did it like a BuzzFeed style, with GIFs. Mm-hmm. So very after that, I was like, oh, I should probably apply to write on BuzzFeed. I have a new profession with gift-filled blog posts.
Yeah, very cool. It's interesting, like discovering new platforms, right, as you go along that fit with your content strategy. Yeah. And but it sounds like a really fun campaign that we should put the link in the blog article. So if you have the link to the article, I'll put it in the blog post when we write about this
episode. Exactly, and I think it was it's very hard to get like earned media, as we know. To get other people to share what we create. So when you make it fun, and you can invite people who are like in your community and willing to like represent you, I think it can go a long way, and it's organic. So in that sense, it's free to produce.
How would you say is like your tone of voice at Detectify? Because it sounds like I don't know, the go hack yourself and and everything.
That's right.
Exactly, the background there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I get to be working that I'm working on, like the tone of voice. But we've always had this more like casual approach that's more informal. Like we use the tagline here, like go hack yourself, and that helps us it helps us stand out, because in the world of security, you often see a lot of like locks and hoodies, or like hackers put in like hoodies and with a dark background or an anonymous mask. So we want to take a different approach to this and really stand out, because it's also in our company culture. When you go in, everyone is very easygoing and friendly. We would prefer that people just wear like t-shirts and hoodies instead of like a suit and tie. I think what you see on the site, it's also in real life when we go to events, we also kind of stand out in a casual way. So we try to be like this an approachable brand, because we want to be an approachable brand, but also it takes a little guts, right, to say something like "go hack yourself." So we have because we have like experts and in the field, and also we are confident in what we are doing. We're working with a whole community of experts that we also want to show that even if we have, you know, fun colors and a more casual look, that we are also, you know, we take security seriously and we are very passionate about it in everything we do. So yeah, that's kind of, we want to keep on in that direction, and also make sure that people feel like they can have a conversation with us, and you can get very nerdy about security with us, or even if you're a beginner in security, we are happy to talk to you as well. And share the security gospel, as I like to say.
Yeah, it's interesting because cybersecurity sounds like such a serious and technical thing, right? So it's really cool that you guys have made it fun, right?
Exactly. We want to make security accessible for everyone, in that you don't always need to be like really educated in security and living and breathing it. We hope like that people who run their own websites or like a small startup also take security seriously and see like the benefit it has for the company. So in order to appeal to them as well, we also need to approach it with in that way, that it's not like black magic or anything, that it's something that you can do. It's not rocket science.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's a typical day like for you in your role as content team lead?
Yeah, I think typical day in a startup. Yeah. So but it is like Detectify is, as you said, like a high growth, like fast paced growth company, and we can expect day to day to be a little different, but it's nice to get a little routine in. So some productivity hacks I have is like starting off like planning out my day, and then trying to do my best to not squeeze, but make sure all my meetings are clustered together in the afternoon, so I can spend the morning doing the work that keeps us going at Detectify. And that can look like I'm writing copy for together with our campaign team, or creating blog ideas and getting blog content down. I'm a newly team lead. Can you say that? But I have 2 people on my team. So right now, a lot of my work is kind of supporting them and making sure they feel like that they can also, like, security is not there's some kind of learning curve with security, but also feel like they're going to own this thing, and that we're going to create an awesome like content machine together.
I'll go into my next question, which was like, what was it like moving from a huge company like Booking.com to a high growth startup environment?
Yeah. So yes. So at Booking, since it's so big and it's already established company, I think it's a very good environment to just kind of learn the ropes of like how develop good work ethic or processes, and taking advantage of like there's a lot of corporate learning that I got out of Booking, I think.
And I imagine there's a lot of expertise there, and I know a lot about digital marketing. I mean, they're like masters of it, and I guess they have a lot of resources to do the best possible online marketing,
exactly.
Right? So it's like learning from the best.
Yeah, and from there you kind of learn like what it takes to kind of run a company in that sense, that you need to think for a company to grow really quickly, then you really need to make like these data decisions and keep track of your metrics, really. So I think that was very beneficial working at Booking, but as also at a big company, you are limited to how much you can influence, like that you're kind of like given a ball and run with it. So it's very good for, I think, just building up your foundation there, or if you want to hone certain skills. But then for me, I felt like, okay, I'm ready to take on more responsibility, and I want to learn more about digital marketing. And I did take like small courses on like online to try to get, the foundation and keep the learning journey going until I felt ready to apply for something new. So then I got into Detectify as a marketing coordinator, and there we were only like 4 people. Then I think I was like the 4th on the team. Marketing team, that is. We were 23 in the company then 2 years ago. So and there it was like, okay, you want to do something? Awesome, run. And it's very much like it can be very exciting, like high energy, where you are often the first to take on something or try something. And from the start, Detectify has been very supportive of that. They're like, you have an idea? Great, go do it and see how it works. And I really think like that is the biggest difference, that you kind of have this space to try out some ideas and really take it on. Whereas if you are in a bigger company, you can have you might have an idea, but it can take some time for it, like just process and approval, which makes sense. Like the company is so big, you cannot just, go try whatever you will. But in a startup, it's very much like that. It's because you don't know, will you get funding next time? So might as well try everything that you can. So it's been very exciting. And especially if you're for me, I've been very lucky to also have like very high and energetic and skilled colleagues that are really just eager to make a lot happen and take action. So I think that's a big difference, is that you can have suddenly many things happening at once in a startup. Like today we are like, oh, we are running like 10 different projects and initiatives, then versus like maybe when my time at Booking, it was very much focused of, okay, we know we need to fix this particular thing, so let's put all our focus in and just make this happen and move this metric. Whereas in a startup, there's like, we have all these like 5 different metrics that we want to measure and move. Like, what can we do to keep everything going? It's very exciting. I think it's maybe not for everyone, someone who needs like kind of like that order. Maybe it's a very dynamic environment. But yeah, it's really fun. And I'm sure you know this from running a company yourself. So
yeah, absolutely. I can relate a lot to everything you're saying, for sure. In my experience working in startup in my current company as well. Yeah. But going to the metrics point, how do you measure, what are your metrics for content marketing? What do you think is the most important to look at?
Yeah. So I would like to get to a point where we can say like, oh, this blog has contributed to our sales in this way. I think that's very exciting. And I know it's possible because I've seen it in Booking, or at least they put numbers to it to predict how much it can bring in. But today we mainly look at like MRR. Like I guess it's very classic, like SaaS company, where you look at the monthly revenue that's being brought in from specifically from marketing activities. We look at things like traffic. Since I'm on content team lead, we are very, very much trying to increase the traffic that comes to that we can attract to .com through all the content that we put out there. And then also like signups. Does this encourage people to keep moving through the site and the brand experience enough to sign up and start something? So I think like those are the main things we look at today.
Going back to your personal story, just because I know we have a lot of like international people trying to break into marketing in Europe. So I was just curious, like, was it very difficult to like get your first content job in Sweden? What's it like the market there?
I think it's probably gotten better today. Maybe at the beginning it was just like, where do I look and start? I kind of wish there was an obvious like hub that said like, hey, international marketer or someone who wants to get into marketing, look here. So I think it took some time actually, because I think a lot of Swedish companies still market to like Swedish population. But what is really lucky about Stockholm is that there's really a growing tech scene. And then like naturally with tech, you are like going to go for a global audience, like because tech really has no borders in that sense, that you can, like for us, we can market to someone, and we have customers in Australia, but also in all the parts of US or in Canada, and also throughout EMEA. Tech is definitely, any tip for anyone is like kind of look into a tech company, because like that's definitely a place for, if you're international, that is looking for like English speakers. They're often having like English as the company language. That is if you are an English speaker and comfortable speaking with English.
Yeah, but as they expand, then a lot of companies go into more markets as well, and they need content creators and marketers and for the other markets as well, like at a later stage, I suppose. So I totally agree with this tip.
And go into tech. But I also like, what did I want to say for that? I think it's like what you are doing is amazing, like where you build up a community for people to connect with each other, with other marketers, and they exist. So it's like you just have to maybe do a little extra search on Facebook or Meetup. Even in Stockholm, we have different I guess you could say expat groups, but there's one in particular called like Girl Gone International, and I think they have different chapters across the world. So there's one in Stockholm, and even there's tons of marketers, and now we have started a small little networking group that I hope will grow into something more.
Yeah, very cool. I'm in their Facebook group in Madrid.
Yeah, so, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with the expat groups. That's actually the content mix kind of grew out of those kinds of groups as well. We are an expat group in a way, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
we're a mix of expats and local people, but yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that just like strengthens, I think, there's so much talk about like diversity and inclusion today, and I think like that's a strength you can bring in, is like when you bring in an international marketer, they're not only like giving you a English language, but also they bring all the experience that they probably have from their home culture or wherever they have lived, and the markets they've served. So I think like I think that's also why like it's really benefited tech in Stockholm. Stockholm is kind of like a mini Silicon Valley in that sense, but because it can attract so many different, a really diverse like workforce.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very good point. So I wanted to ask you for a few more of your recommendations. You already shared a few, but do you have a favorite marketing or business book to share?
Yeah, so I just finished reading one called The Runaway Species. And I think it's a really, really cool book on creativity. So, and it helped me kind of demyth the idea that you need to always come up with something original. So in this book, they discuss a lot about how human creativity is based on how we like, do a new take on something that we've seen before. And it doesn't always have to be this totally original idea, which I think is great for any marketer to consider, that you don't need to have this, you don't always have to create that one viral video. You can, or like have the best idea to create a viral video. I don't know if that's such a big word to say anymore, but yeah, I think it's a really good book of inspiration to kind of talk through how others have created or brought in creativity to their life. And yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, definitely check it out. And then a source of inspiration that you'd share?
Yeah, I think, I guess more and more I've been watching TED Talks, and LinkedIn knows me so well. I'm spending too much time on it, and then it just sends me all these TED Talk videos. But what I really like is that they have a diverse speakers. Like they feature a lot of speakers from different backgrounds, and I think it's really great to draw inspiration from, especially when it doesn't have to be a marketing video or a security video. It can be about, how they did a home experiment, and from there I can get new ideas for marketing somehow.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's really great.
And then do you recommend any software tool or app, or any that you've discovered recently or particularly enjoy?
Yeah, I think my designers know this. I really like Canva. I don't use it for work, but I like it for my personal projects. I think it's just made design so easy. You can make really great presentations with the templates that they have, or even a small graphic to promote. If you have like a meetup group and you want to promote something, it's really easy to use and generate a graphic there. So I recommend it. There's a free version, of course. So it's really great.
Yeah, definitely a favorite of marketers around the world, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do you recommend any online courses?
Yeah. I had to like dig back in the back of my head, but I took one called like Complete Digital Marketing Course on Udemy by someone named Dara Walsh. I thought that was really good for like foundational skills, just to get the beginnings of if you want to run your own business online, or if you want to pursue digital marketing as a career. I thought that was really great. But in general, I like to watch more like videos or like podcasts. I get a lot out of podcasts because I think marketing just changes so much that I like to just look to experts to give me, okay, what should I pay attention to, or what has changed, and to keep up to date that way. I have a good example where I bought a content marketing book earlier this year. And I was like, oh, this is so great. I'm going to learn all this strategy and create a content strategy. And then when there's a section about social media, and then they mentioned Vine, and I was like, oh no, I can't keep reading this book. They have quoted Vine. I cannot take this like as the truth and only the truth. So I think it's important to.
They get outdated in a year now, right? Marketing books.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, Vine, that was like so long ago. So yeah, I would recommend like taking diversifying your educational courses in that way.
Absolutely. And take recent ones, I guess, if it's a course or something, or a book, like, yeah, since it changes so often. I mean, some concepts of marketing, I suppose, never change, but when it comes to the tactics and the specific things related to digital marketing,
yeah.
All right. Well, we're reaching the end of the interview, so just wanted to give you the last chance to say any final takeaways or parting advice for other content marketers in Europe.
From content marketer to content marketer, I think it's really important to really define kind of like what is it that you want to achieve with the content that you create. It's very easy to get like caught up on many ideas that you have, but setting a goal there, getting to know like what is it that you want to talk to your audience about, but also it's important for you to have these goals so that you know what to celebrate. Kind of, I think it's very easy to forget to like give a pat on yourself. Oh, you did a great job, you know. So I think that's one tip. And then I always like to say this to anyone who's writing or wants to contribute writing is like, remember that you aren't writing for yourself. You have a target audience that you want to write for, and yeah, just keep that in mind. Kind of like make it relevant for them, and then I guess lastly, like, don't forget that you don't have to create content all by yourself. You have a network you can reach out to, find people to collaborate with, and then you can like kind of get them to help also amplify your message and get the word out and awareness.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good point to end on. Well, thank you so much, Jocelyn, for sharing your insights with us today.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. I really enjoyed speaking with you.
Yeah, me too.
About content.
Yeah, it was awesome. I loved hearing your insights. So thanks everybody for listening in as well. And for more perspectives on content marketing in Europe, check out thecontentmix.com. Keep tuning into the podcast for daily interviews with content experts. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.